Welcome and thank you for joining us. The Impact, a place where you can experience impactful information because your experience is your story. I am Dennis Blake, your host and author, two-time Olympian and Olympic bronze medalist. Today I have with me founder, manager, and head coach of the famous Flying Angels Academy, one of the top track and field club in Toronto, Canada. Earl and his team have coached many athletes awarded with track scholarship to various universities in the US, representing Canada at various international track and field meets, including the Olympic Games, World Championships, and many more. Welcome, Earl, to the Impact, where your experience is your story.
Earl, it's so good to see you, man. We haven't seen each other for so long. So good to see you. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to my YouTube/podcast. Really happy to have you on today.
It's great being here, Dennis. It's really good to see you as well.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get started. We always wanted to start at the beginning because a lot of times the people always see the beginning and the end, but they don't really see the middle, right? The struggles, the fight that people, especially athletes, has done over the past. They enjoy the glory, but they don't see the middle. And that is why this podcast/YouTube has been created, for people to tell their story. We know that you're a coach. Many people don't know that, but I do. So I want to start from the beginning, where you just describe a little bit of your background. I know you have a Jamaican background. Why don't you just tell the audience about that?
Well, I was born in Clarendon back in the 70s, and at around age 7, I moved from Jamaica to Canada. So I've been in Canada most of my life. So I was educated and everything in Canada, but my roots are and always will be in Jamaica.
Okay. So you were born and raised the early part of your life in Clarendon, right? And then you went off to Canada. But before we get to Canada, you went to elementary school, as they would say here, maybe primary school. Did you attend primary school in Jamaica or high school?
Yeah, I started primary school in Jamaica, and then I came here to Canada at age 7. So that would have been about grade 2. So since grade 2, I've been in Canada.
You're Canadian, man. Yeah, full-time Canadian.
I don't have nothing to say against that.
I think one of the questions I want to ask, I know you love sports, and did you participate in sports when you came to Canada and started, and when did you start? Let's say over here we say elementary school. Not sure if that's what they say in Canada.
Yeah. So in elementary school, I did all the sports. I did basketball. I ran track. Did it everything that was physical. I did it. In high school, I did track. Football was my main thing.
Is that Jamaican? Is that American football?
American football.
Oh, okay.
American football. Yeah, I
Canadian. You're from Jamaica, playing and living in Canada, playing American football. Okay, go ahead. I got it.
International. Yeah, but yeah, I did all these sports. But you see, when I was in high school, one thing I realized is people started asking me for advice, how to run faster, how to play the sport better and stuff. So I started getting interested in the coaching aspect from I was 15 years old. So I've been coaching now for actually 35 years. And I actually started coaching when I was 15 years old. I was coaching high school athletes and some athletes older than myself.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the high school that you attended. Tell us a little bit about that. Let us hear how that went.
It went good. I went to a few different high schools in Toronto. Main reason, you have to understand, my upbringing was a little tumultuous. So I moved around a lot. I was very independent, to say the least, when I was in high school. So I didn't have like a mommy and daddy to guide me or whatnot. So I moved around different high schools. I played the different sports. I did what I had to do to survive while in high school. And that's where I think I found my calling as far as coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I coach track, I coach football, I coach basketball, everything. Um, but high school was one of those times that it kind of shapes you. But the one thing it teaches you is how to go through challenges,
Right.
how to overcome some challenges. And that's what I did when I was in high school here.
And I think this would be a good time to ask you. Tell us a little bit about those challenges. I know you said you didn't have mommy and daddy around, and it was tumultuous. But tell us a little bit about those challenges and what is it, how you were able to navigate through those challenges? Because I think that's what a lot of people are facing, especially the younger generation. They don't really know how to navigate their way through those challenges.
Right. So to understand, you really have to go back a little bit. So you see, back in my childhood, when I was in Jamaica, my mom left when I was 3 years old. So from 3 to 7 years of age, I didn't know my mother. And when I was 7, I left everything I knew in Jamaica, and then I came to Canada. And then that's when I met my mom and my stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
But the other challenge with that is my mother, she worked in the evenings. So I would go to school, I would come home, and there's no mommy or daddy at home.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, from 7 years old, I would have to basically raise myself. So I go to school, have breakfast, go to school, come home, and then it's just me, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was 13, I had left the home to go into a foster home. I was put in a foster home when I was 13. So for a few years, I stayed in the foster home until I was 16. And then at 16, I was out there on my own. So that's what I meant by in high school, there was no mommy or daddy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So here is basically I had to fend for myself. So if I wanted to go to school, I had to, get up, make sure I get up and go to school.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't always the case,
Right.
right? I was more thinking about how to survive, how to put, food in my belly and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it's been. That's how it's been ever since I can remember.
Okay.
So where the sports come in is when you're on the sports field or you're on the track, you have a singular focus, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you're able to just focus on that one thing.
Yes.
So the sports was an escape from reality for me. So after the sports was finished, the other kids would go home to,
Yeah.
warm cook meal and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just have to figure out how I'm gonna get home. You
Yeah.
see? So it's things like that I had to go through. That's what I
Okay.
mean by the
Yes.
challenges.
Absolutely. You're speaking some of my languages. I have my own story too, but I can't interview myself, so I have to wait until somebody chooses to interview me. Okay, so did you okay, so you play a lot of different sports, right? But what I want to know is did you hone in on track and field, or was there one sport that you really hone in on, or are
I
you are
really, I, it was football, American football. That's I found a love. I found a love for that, right? And with that, especially if you have the speed and things like that, I found much joy with that. Um, Unfortunately, my high school career was cut short because one year I made the All-Star team, and those times we had a All-Star team in Toronto, and we would play an all-star team from say Detroit or these different places.
Mhm.
And I was out there on the practice field, and I made first string on the all-star team, and they designed some plays for me and everything. They would name some plays for me,
Mhm.
like Earl touchdown right or Earl touchdown left, because the way I was playing, it was I was relatively good.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a few schools that would write me letter to say, hey, they're coming to the All-Star game. They want to see me because they want to spend some time talking to me about a scholarship and stuff like that. But I had a run-in with one of my teachers at school. So when the All-Star coach told the school that I was going to be in the All-Star game, and they should, boost me up on the announcements and stuff like that. They said, no, 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 this young man shouldn't be on no team, right? In fact, he's suspended from all sports.
Man.
So when I got to practice, the next day, they took away my uniform, my equipment, and said, sorry, you can't play. So when the coaches came and they didn't see me in the game, they're asking, how comes you didn't play? And I had to tell them, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there went my opportunity to play at a higher level.
Oh, okay. Tell
Mhm.
us about the feeling. How? I mean, we know that you feel upset and all that, but there has to be something deeper than that because considering you're in a foster home, right? You're in a foster home at this time. Um, how devastating was that?
Well, it was really tough. It was really tough at the time, and it's not something that I've shared with a lot of people, right? All I would do is ask God why, why me, right? Why I'm going through all of these things. But to be honest, Dennis, looking back at it now and seeing where I am now, I see how it has shaped me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those things have hardened me.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that I go through now, if I wasn't hardened, I wouldn't be able to go through these things or accomplish these things now.
Right.
So I am kind of grateful for the hardness, the
Yes.
hardness that I achieved
Yeah,
back then. Those
absolutely.
things are minor,
Right.
come
And
come.
I share the same sentiments, and those are things that I always tell other people as well when I have these type of conversation that I would not change, even though my life back then was tough. Not everybody knew, you know what I mean? But I would not change it for anything because it has shaped me and molded me into who I am. And I remember the Bible said everything worked together for good, everything
Exactly.
for them that love the Lord. So we're gonna move on. So we're gonna talk a little bit about um, track and field, right? You have hosted your own track and field meets, um, and you have also been to many, right? Why track and field meets are so long? Sometimes having it broken up, even when you have it broke up into several days, why is it so long?
I tell you, this is the one thing I keep talking to people about here, especially for parents who their children do other sports. I can go to a basketball tournament and, watch my son play basketball, play a game, and within 90 minutes or 2 hours, the game is finished. I'm home. I have the rest of the day to enjoy myself. But I go to a track meet to watch my son or somebody run, and I have to be there so early and then so late to see
Yeah,
them run maybe two times, right?
yeah,
For a total of maybe, for maybe, I don't even know,
2 minutes.
1 minute. So
Yeah,
it's kind of, the feeling is like, it's like if you were to go to a basketball game and watch your child sit down on the bench the whole day
yeah.
and just
Mm-hmm.
get 2 minutes of playing time. After a while, you would say, forget this, man. This is too much.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer the question as to why it's so long, is they jam pack all these different ages in one day when they can break it into segments, and they can, what's the word I'm looking for? They can put it in a way that you have certain athletes come, they participate, and you package it. Yeah, the packaging is the problem, right? Um, when you're watching track and field on TV, like NBC or one of those, you get maybe 90 minutes or something, and that you have to be able to pack everything into that.
Right.
When we go to some of these track meets here, um, I don't understand why they drag on so long. And a lot of it, I mean, between me and you and the people who are watching this thing, some of it is boring, man.
Oh yeah.
Very
Oh yeah.
boring. you know,
Absolutely. But but
long and
but
drawn out.
but you have an opportunity considering and I might be jumping ahead here, but you do have an opportunity to change that trajectory because you have one of the most prominent track club in Canada. So the question I would want to ask you then is, are you doing anything that is different from what we just spoke about um, when it comes to you hosting your own track meet?
Yes. Um, One of the things that we're doing is this: we're having more trap meets, but they're more segmented, right? For an example, we'd have our house league caliber athletes, so not the top ones, right? And we would have a competition, and that competition lasts no more than an hour and a half. With few events, the kids they compete, they have a good time, they enjoy themselves, they're in and they're out, and the parents enjoy that because whenever you can do an in and out um, type thing
Mhm.
and shorten it, then it's really good. I just had a track meet this weekend, and what we did, we would have the youngsters compete on one day, and then the high schoolers compete on the other day.
Mhm.
We limit the number of events that we're doing, and we shorten the time between the events. You know, the time for the events to
Mhm.
start. Our event on Saturday, it was basically in and out. It was basically pre-produced, right? So that way everything is on point. The award ceremony is at a specific time, races are at a specific time, pre-produced to be in and out. So that way
Right.
the people can go and enjoy the rest of the day, man.
Yeah. True. And I think when you look at the pen relays, I think the pen relays sort of model that type of uh, time, how time is important. Because I know at the pen relays back then when I used to run there, everybody have to line up. I mean, as one race off the tracks, another one is on and all that. So, but
Exactly.
I've always wondered why it always takes so long. And now that I sometimes coach and go, I don't even want to go to some of these travel.
No, it's true. I mean, I host track meets and sometimes I don't want to go neither.
Uh,
Yeah, but it's,
all right.
I understand.
All right. Since we are on track, right? What can parents and athletes do at home, right? What would you suggest that they do at home that will help them progress, right? Um, when you talk about either sleep more, push-ups, sit-ups, diet, whatever, what is it that you would suggest to your athletes that they do extra at home?
Okay, so I have some advice to the parents and I have some advice to the athletes. First, to the parents, allow the children to be independent. Teach them a routine and just allow them to follow that routine. And what I mean is something like this. I would go to a track meet and an athlete come and they don't have their proper uniform. They're missing something, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say to them, um, were you in a hurry when you packed your uniform? When you no, I said, did you pack your bag today? And they would say yes. And I said, were you in a rush when you pack your bag? And they said yes. And I said, yes, that is why you forgot what you're supposed to forget. You should pack your bag the night before, the day before,
Mm-hmm.
and put it down. So in the morning, you don't have to rush. You just grab your bag and you go. One of the things that they always say to me is, but my mother or but my father, what is your mother doing packing your bag? It's your bag, right? They I've had teenage athletes, right? That their shoelace is untied, and I say, tie your shoelace, and they're looking over to their mother to come tie their shoelace.
Mm-hmm.
Allow the children to be independent. Teach the children to be independent, and they will be better on the track and also off the track.
The track,
And I
right?
taught that as a coach because if the children are independent, then they become responsible. So as a coach, when I'm coaching an athlete and the athlete realize that they are responsible for their success, then they will do the little things that they need to do in order to be successful. They're not waiting on me as a coach. They're not waiting on their parents or anybody else to make them successful. I can't make anybody successful, right? They have to own that success. All I can do is, as a coach, is show them the path to success, the habits to success. But it's up to them to decide whether they're going to do it or not. So parents, allow the kids to be a little independent. And I think I taught that way, you know, Dennis, because of what I said earlier with regards to my upbringing. I was forced to be independent, right? So that's why I say to the parents, leave the kids to be independent. Now, as far as some tangible things that they need to do, some of my athletes were at the Canadian Indoor Championships this past weekend, and one of my coaches, she sent me a video of my athletes taking a nap before they race, right? Sleeping, relaxing, and stuff. And I messaged them back and I said, yes, the lion always sleeps before he eats, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, then she sent me a picture. We sent, I think it was 7 athletes we sent on there, and all 7 of them came back with gold, with medals. And I think 6 of them was gold medals, right? And then I text her back, I said, the lion always eats after the hunt. Yes. So the reason why I say that is this: you need to get your rest in order to perform at your best, right? That is a given. So I say to my athletes, one, you have to go to bed at nighttime, and during the day you have to take little naps, because you need your elastic energy to regenerate when you're competing, right? So stay off the phone, stay off the running up and down.
Oh, I don't know how you're gonna get them off the phone. That's one of the biggies right there.
Yes, yeah.
But it depends on how serious they are. If the athletes are serious and they really want it bad, and you know, they will do what they need to do. So they need to sleep more. What about diet?
Yes, the 2 questions I ask them when they during a practice, if they're lethargic or something, anything happens, 2 questions I always ask them. One, I say, what was the quality of your sleep the night before? The other question I always ask them is, what did you eat? And almost 100%, the answers to those questions will tell me what's wrong with these children, because a lot of times that's the source of their problem, right? So as far as their diet, it's like a racing car, right? You have to put the right type of gas in your racing car. Different type of gas than what you put in your truck that you're driving up and down. So with these athletes, they really need to pay close attention as far as their diet is concerned, for, you know, eliminate all this fatty foods, the sugar, you know, all these different things. It's easy stuff to eliminate those, right? And I would say to the parents, help your kids along. Don't put those things in the house, right? Don't drive the child to McDonald's 3 days a week and then come to practice and asking me what they should eat. You know, they're not supposed to eat those kind of things, right? We used to always say to our athletes, within our training period, we get rid of all those things. So you're not at the McDonald's, you're not at the Burger King and all those things, because you're a finely tuned machine. So we have to make sure that you're getting the good home cook meal, right? So those are a couple of the things that I would say to people, you know, if you want to go to the top, right? If you want to stay where you are, then eat what you want to eat and enjoy yourself, but don't expect anything out of that.
Yes. So do you recommend private, or I mean, like, extra training for athletes? I know you have a club. I know it's a club, but you might not recommend that, but there's always a parent who will say, you're not getting enough training because the team is too large. You know, I've heard that here. So they seek out maybe one-on-one private lessons for extra work. I know that's not something I would suggest that I'm almost thinking that is not something that you suggest, but you understand what I'm saying.
I understand exactly what you're saying. I mean, I think it was just 2 weeks ago, a parent, excuse me, a parent called me to discuss that, asking me the same thing because they want their child to go and get extra training, right?
Mm-hmm.
My solution to every question is this: what problem are you trying to solve, and what is the source of that problem? Because you can go and get extra private training, individual training, and it can help, but it can also hinder the progress of the child, depending on what it is that you're trying to address. If the child is a person that just doesn't work hard, whether they're in a group or they're individual, they're not going to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to address the problem with the child working hard. If the training sessions are, say, like 2 days a week, and you have a talk with the coach that's coaching them and say, well, you know what, they say, I believe this child can benefit from a few more days a week, and I don't have the time to give them. So somebody else can fill in the gaps with that. Then I would go with that, right? Because with track and field, there's the physical, the must, for lack of a better word, the when I say physical, I mean just the healthy, in shape
Mm-hmm.
type thing, right? The conditioning. There's the
Understood.
conditioning, but there's also the technical. And some coaches may be really good on the technical aspect, but not so,
Good at
not
the
so good on the conditioning, and
conditioning,
then
right?
vice versa,
Vice versa,
right?
right? Mm-hmm.
Now, if you are go out there and get private training, then there needs to be communication between the coach that is giving one-on-one to with the other coach.
Yeah.
Because what if you go and you go do a certain type of workout on one day,
Mm-hmm.
then they go to the next coach and they're doing the same type of workout, and they're overtraining, overloading the child, right? Then you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have a problem. So that's why I always come back to, what is the problem you're trying to address?
Yes, and I know exactly what you're talking about, but I have athletes that train privately with me, um, and they're in another club somewhere. But I always find my question is, what is it that you have done today? If you have gone there before you come to me, or if you're working with me before you go there, I always say to them, make sure you communicate this with your coach, so that
Exactly.
we don't, right. So that's very important. But moving right along, is there a push to keep potential athletes in Canada to train for major international competition, or is it that they're still sending them abroad to study and train and come back?
Dennis, you're gonna get me in trouble. You're gonna get me bad. You're gonna get me run out of Canada, man. Okay. Canada has a system that, depending on which side of the fence you're on, you either love it, or boy, you shake your head at it.
Mm,
They have a system whereas they have what they call them high performance centers. And there is a push for athletes to stay here and train with the high performance coach. So they would hire like say they would hire a sprints coach,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And they would say to the athlete, stay here, train with this sprints coach. Canada gives them a sum of
Stipend.
money each month. Yeah, give them a stipend to stay here. Now, there's some athletes that go abroad, go to the States, get their education, and run NCAA. Um, what I look at is, I look at results, right? I look at end results, and I see the amount of money that Canada put in it, right? And come Olympic time, I judge to see how much medals they win those that train at the training center
Mhm.
full time. How much medals do they win versus how much medals those that
Yes.
go abroad.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would say, trying to be politically correct here. The one thing I want to say is the NCAA system does a good job with siphoning out those who will not make it far in the Olympic level, right? Meaning that if you can go through the NCAA system and come out on top, there's a good chance that in the Olympic system you're going to do well at that level as well. Mind you, just because you have ambitions as a high schooler and to go, I'm going to go NCAA so that way I can get to the Olympics. Remember, it siphons out those that will not make, will not make it. So some of ours get siphoned out, and some of them make it, right? And those who come out at the top of the NCAA usually go on and they do very well at the next level. So with my club, because we have athletes of different calibers, the top, we really sit down and we have a conversation with them to find out what their goals are, and those who can get into the NCAA system, we put them there, as opposed to staying here and going to the National Training Center and competing against people like those in my club and getting run left, right? Things like that, without saying too much.
Right. I got you.
Yeah, I find what happens when you look at the Caribbean and when you look at the USA to produce Olympic level athletes, those are coming from the production is coming from let's say the private clubs. Let's call them the private clubs, the MVP, the racers, the tumbleweeds, the you name it, right? And I would wish, if I had my wish, I wish the money that the Canada was taking and putting into their training centers, they would use that to help clubs develop on that level. Because sometimes I said to myself today, when a banana tastes the sweetest is when you're hungry. And I find here with the system that we have, they don't allow the athletes to be hungry. They feed them. They go to the Olympics and then they wonder what is going on, right? Meanwhile, they're going up against other people who are hungry, and in order to make it to the next day, they have to do well today, right? So that's where the high performance clubs come into play.